You're listening to The Supreme Show with who? Me, Supreme, aka Big G, the brother with the platinum voice that'll put you to sleep. So listen, like, and subscribe. And oh, don't forget to drop a comment. Peace. Peace to all the gods and the earths. This your boy Kareem Supreme. I want to talk about the murder of Latasha Harland. This happened in March of 1991.
With eyewitnesses, and this is what you'll get.
Latasha Harland was going to steal some orange juice.
She had the money in her hand. You can see the money in the videotape. And the suspect grabbed the backpack, and there became a physical altercation over the backpack. And as our victim turned to walk away from the scene, the suspect raised a weapon and shot the victim in the back of the head.
Latasha was an A student, honor roll student. She got money every week for her allowance, so she did not have to steal orange.
Latasha Harland was a 15-year-old high school student in Southern California, Los Angeles to be precise. And on the day of March 16th, 1991, she was murdered unjustly by a Korean store owner. Shot in the back of the head. The Korean store owner thought that Latasha was trying to steal a bottle of orange juice. But if you look at the film, the lady snatched the bag out of Latasha's hand after she tried to pay for the orange juice. You know, and then a scuffle broke out. You know, they started, you know, it was like a tug of war, so to speak, over Latasha's bag. So Latasha let go. The Korean lady retained the bag. Tasha walked away, and then pow! Shot her in the back of the head. Shot her right in the back of the head. Only a coward would do something like that. You're supposed to look a person in the eye before you kill them. At least that's what I was told. And then you shoot a child in the back of the head. That's an extreme level of hate, if you ask me. You know, if you look at the film, you would say to yourself, damn, she did that on purpose. You know, long story short, it went to trial, and the dizzy white judge said that the Korean store owner doesn't deserve any jail time because she's not a threat to society. And, you know, the judge went on to say, oh, I know a criminal when I see one. And a prison sentence would be too lengthy and too harsh for this middle-aged Korean lady. And I'm sitting there looking like, what? I'm like, so what the hell is going on with these people? That's when I knew right then and there. I was 11 years old. That's when I knew right then and there that white folks don't care nothing about us or our children. And a lot of Negroes will say, oh, well, not all white people feel this way. Not all white people feel that way. I could say a good portion of white people think that way. White supremacy is not white supremacy is not personal, it's business. You know, they can like you. They'll go to a bar with you or go to a football or baseball game with you, or they might be cool at work. But when it comes to white supremacy, they ain't gonna relinquish that for nobody, especially for no black folks. They all participate in white supremacy. Supremacy just means I'm superior over all you motherfuckers. That's all that means. Once they see you rising, once they see us rising above that supremacy, they start killing us all. You saw it in Obama's second term. We started feeling, you know, a little uppity that Obama was in office. We started feeling a little bit, our revolutionary fervor started boosting. You know? White people saw that. So that's one of the reasons why they hated Obama. Even though he really didn't do anything for us, the little that he tried to do for us pissed a lot of white people off. There's more Obama could have did. He just didn't do it. He was scared. Obama was a puppet. He was a punk. You know, if I was the president of the United States, I would have made the black minority first priority. He didn't do that. You know, he gave us cell phones, and you know, he gave us what do you call it, stipends or whatever. You know, Obamacare. That pissed a lot of people off. A lot of white folks off. But anyway, back to Latasha Harland. You know, the white judge basically gave the Korean store clerk a slap on the wrist. And 13 days before the death of Latasha Harland, March 3rd, 1991, was the Rodney King beating. That was caught on tape, and Latasha Harland's murder was caught on tape. So you got evidence. You got two videos prove this police brutality. Well, you got one video to prove police brutality, and then you got another video to prove how Korean store owners feel about black people. And they got all these Korean stores in the black community. You got proof. You got evidence. We want convictions. But unfortunately, you know the end of the story. They all got off. Slap in the face to black people. Slap on the wrists for the Korean lady. Slap on the wrists for police officers. That pissed a lot of people off across the country. Especially in Los Angeles. That fueled the fire for the LA riots. One of the most devastating incidents in North American history. That happened in April of '92. You know, once the police officers got acquitted for beating Rodney King. First, the Korean lady got acquitted for killing Latasha Harland, and then the white police officers got acquitted for beating Rodney King. That was too much. People was fed up. Fed up. So they took matters into their own hands. And a lot of people say, oh, they was burning down their own communities. It wasn't just their own communities. They went where the money was. They started looting and burning down stores. They mainly targeted Korean stores. And then you had a couple of young punks, black and Mexican. You know, they just was looting whoever. They didn't care. You know, a couple black stores got looted. You know what I mean? But not as many as the Korean stores that was burning down. It was a Korean dry cleaning establishment that just got totally looted, burnt down, and the Korean lady was screaming, "This is not fair! This is not fair!" That made headline news. This is not fair. It became a catchphrase. This is not fair. And people was like, the hell you mean this is not fair? It ain't fair that y'all got away with killing a child. That's not fair. Dr. Dre did a song about the LA riots called The Day the Niggas Took Over. It's on the Chronic album. But I want to back up to 1988. The movie Do the Right Thing. I mentioned this movie in my last video about Rodney King. The movie Do the Right Thing predicted a lot of incidents that was yet to come. It sort of predicted the LA riots in '92, and it warned us about how Koreans act. You know, there's a scene in the movie where Sweet Dick Willie and two of his buddies was sitting on the corner talking about those Korean motherfuckers. Excuse me for my language, but I'm just quoting what they said in the movie. And they were talking about how Koreans get off the boat and they open up a business in black neighborhoods, and they occupy buildings that's been boarded up for years, and then they come here and make a fortune, and they don't give a shit about black people and all this stuff. And, you know, they put their kids through college with black money and all this stuff, and at the end of Do the Right Thing, a riot broke out. They burnt down the pizza parlor, Sal's Pizzeria, and they was about to do the same thing to the Korean store, but the black people were like, nah, he's okay. You know, he ain't the reason why Radio Raheem got killed. And the Korean store owner in the movie, he had a broom. He was swinging it. He was like, I'm no white. I'm black. Robin Harris was like, where you black at? He said, me, you, same. So that's one of the reasons why they said, nah, leave him alone. But throughout the movie, they was talking about how Koreans, how they are, you know, how they operate, how they get down, how they feel about us. You know what I mean? That was real in a lot of black neighborhoods. A lot of Koreans, they didn't give a shit about us. You know what I mean? You know, all they saw was green. They didn't care. You know, Ice Cube did a song after the death of Latasha. It was called Black Korea. It was like a minute long. It was on his death certificate album. And he was talking about how Korean store owners act. You know, how they get down. How they feel about black people. And after that, the movie Menace to Society came out. And in the beginning, they went into the store. They went into this Korean store to buy a beer. And they was following them around the store saying, hurry up and buy. I feel sorry for your mother. So old dog kills the Korean store owners. It was like a mom and pop Korean shop. You know, he killed the mother and the pop. You know, that video was made. I mean, that movie was made to somewhat show revenge for Latasha Harland. You know, it was a subliminal message. How the directors felt. I think it was the Hughes brothers that directed that film. You know, they were from Southern California. They made a movie expressing how they felt about that incident. You know, a lot of creators, artists, poets, they express their feelings through their craft. So if I'm a director, if I'm a movie writer, and I feel a certain way about a situation that happened in my neighborhood, I might not physically be able to do anything about it. Or it might be out of my reach to do something about it. But what I could do is express my feeling through my craft, through my art. So that's what the Hughes brothers was doing. You know, they expressed how they felt about that situation in this movie. You know what I mean? I would have did the same thing if I was a director or a writer. You know what I mean? It was definitely a tragedy, man. It was heartbreaking. As long as I live, I'll never forget this. You know, this isn't something that you just outgrow. It don't wear off. You just never forget it. You know, and every year around this time, I take the time out to commemorate. You know, R.I.P. to Latasha Harland. R.I.P. to Rodney King. If you got any comments or you want to dispute something, because a lot of people like to dispute truth, you know what I mean? This is stuff you can't make up. You know, this is how it happened. I mean, if you was there, or if you know somebody that was around, that grew up in the 90s, and they was around to witness what really went down, or they probably saw more than what we know. You know, I'm from New York. You know, somebody out there probably saw more or got more details than what I read about. Drop a comment.